Okay, cool. So I did my industry placement just in the Young Men's Welfare Society, just in Calcutta in India. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So what will be covered in this PowerPoint or presentation? So I'll show you just an outline of the organisation, what I did during placements and my duties performed, the experiences that I had, and then the challenges that took place, and then the outcomes of the project as well. Okay, so who was the Young Men's Welfare Society? The Young Men's Welfare Society was formed in 1967, just in Calcutta. It has helped over 75,000 disadvantaged students in receiving an education since then. So they have up to about 8 campuses throughout Calcutta in India today, and it's all privately funded. There's no government intervention, if you like, since then. And then also their motto is to change a childhood, to change the world. Okay, so what was my role? So my role while I was on placement was teaching students a variety of physical education skills. So this was, for instance, a whole different lot of sports. So it would have volleyball, football, cricket, soccer, you name it, sort of thing, athletics, and then also it's just more to do the fundamentals as well. So their coordination levels, even just kicking, catching, just or running, anything like that. So we also did incorporate the game sense approach. This was mainly because in India they don't really seem to use that, especially in schools. So it's just more to show teachers, like for example, just to show another way, another form of teaching. We also grew inclusion throughout the physical education classes. So by this I mean that just making sure that everyone gets a go, because it was very noticeable at the start that what seemed to be happening was there would be 3 or 4 guys that sort of were determined as the leaders, I guess, and they sort of just dominated the whole thing and got, say for cricket, got to bat bowl, and then there would be a bunch of people that wouldn't do anything. So that was a real main focus for us that we saw very early on. And then also it was just to help provide teachers a new format to teaching, sort of thing. So using that game sense approach that they may not be familiar with. So what did I do? So I taught students for a range of ages. So the ages were as little as 3 to 17. So there's quite a vast sort of scale, skill level, coordination level, everything like that. So we taught kids obviously in kindergarten that seem to be not have much coordination at all. And then even once we got to 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, there was still that coordination level lacking that you might not see back at home. We also purchased a bunch of sporting equipment. So this was to just provide them with more resources. So they did request for certain stuff, but then it was also up to us of what they might need, what we would need to provide lessons with. We also developed lesson plans while we were there. So this included things like just writing down sort of to keep to a time and everything like that. And then we also provided constant feedback to the staff of how the program could get better and how it's going and how it's being managed. So the opportunities that I got to experience was obviously teaching in a totally different country and a different culture. That obviously that no other placement can really offer you, I guess. They also got to experience the sizes of the class, so different sizes from when we're in Australia. So the classes that we got, some were up to 90 kids at one stage. So and the average class was 50. So to put that in retrospect, in Australia, probably 20 to 30 would be the absolute max. And then there'll be none more than 30 sort of thing. So there's a big difference sort of thing of trying to control a class that big. I also got to experience students with very raw coordination levels, like I touched on just before. So many of these kids couldn't catch a ball, even though they're very passionate about their sport, especially cricket and soccer. Their fundamental skills, such as just catching a ball, hitting a ball, even bowling, just kicking, anything, it was very needed a lot of work, and so and obviously hadn't been taught correct ways of doing so. So that was also a good experience to have, because back home, usually, especially in high school, you're not going to experience that as much. So the challenges that were faced, so there was the language barrier. So this was particular in the rural school, because we did have a translator, but all the kids didn't speak a word of English, or if they did, it was very much just hello and goodbye, and that was pretty much it. So and we did have, yeah, as I said, we did have a translator. She was Mamita. She was great. But then if she wasn't available to come at that certain point, and there'll be times where we're left by ourselves for half an hour to an hour, and we had to deal that with ourselves. So that was quite hard, obviously, because we weren't able to communicate verbally at all. The sizes of the class, as I touched on before, were massive to pretty much say, yeah. So like there'd be 90 kids. There would be at the very least 50 up to 90. So the class is up to 4 times the size of an average Australian class. The heat and the lack of sleep really was a huge challenge for me as well. The humidity was really, really big, and then a really big factor, I should say. And then the lack of sleep, I was averaging about 3 hours of sleep a day. So then to keep on repeating that, it was a very challenging sort of time for that. And then the communication, I think that was the biggest challenge. So between us and the teachers and just the staff at the Young Horizons school. So there'll be times where classes would show up halfway through another class's class, and we were expected to teach both classes at the same time. So this made it quite difficult, as we didn't know really. We only had 10 minutes to go of one class, but we couldn't start teaching the other things because the other class already knew it. So that was quite challenging. So what I learned, how I should always have a plan B. So this was particular. Shane even suggested this, and now I understand why. It's just that things just change on an instant. There's no sort of warning. There's no anything. Just happens, and we had to adapt straight away. Also, that verbally giving instructions isn't the only way. So what I mean by this is you can do certain other things. So maybe giving actions, things like that, because the students couldn't speak the same language. And then also just improving my ability to work well with others. So for what we had to do, obviously, we were with 6 other people. Excuse me, 6 other people, and 5 other people plus myself, and we were expected to live together, spend every hour of the day together, and then also with the staff as well, just working with people who have grown up differently, have done totally different to what you're used to, sort of thing. So that was a big learning experience as well. So that's pretty much my presentation, and yeah.